Alright, y'all, we back, and we got some more Fire Emblem Heroes. So today, logged into the game, and we got this double special heroes banner. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and dissect this here. We're going to take a look at each individual color and see if this is whether or not worth your orbs, and if there's a color you want to snipe on. And I would say it's not the worst banner in the world. There's some interesting stuff on here, for example, but I would say this is probably a safe skip if you're just looking to save orbs or recover your orb stash after we just got destroyed by like summer banners and Choosy Legends and all of that stuff. So without further ado, let's get started here. We're going to start things off with red. So on red, we have the Winter Dorothea, and we also have the Caden Nino. So this Dorothea is a Cavalry Red Tome Dancer, and her weapon gives speed up 3. If she dances, she grants all stats up 6, and the following status to the ally that she dances on, and that status is if unit initiates combat, unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. And then also, if she's in combat and her HP is over 25%, she gets attack and speed up 6. So she's giving a guaranteed follow-up. The ideal skill, obviously, to give her, even though she comes with Far Trace already, you would probably want to give this unit Firestorm Dance 3, so when she dances the ally, she also grants not only just the guaranteed follow-up, but also the Desperation effect and the attack and speed up 6, but the stats is actually kind of irrelevant because she's already giving all stats up 6 anyway, and then it would let her canto 1 space away after dancing 2, so Firestorm Dance is definitely the way to go on her if you were to decide to use her. As far as fodder is concerned, she's got Infantry Speed Tactic, which is okay, it's not like the worst, but I don't think you really need to go for that. There's going to be more opportunities to get that skill, so I would say she's not really the most important dancer to go for. Then we have Caden Nino, who is actually quite an impressive nuker. So she's got -1 special trigger. She can't be slowed by terrain at the start of turn. She gets that as a status effect if her health is over 25%. And she also can move 1 extra space. So this is one of the few infantry units that can move 3 spaces, similar to Yuri and Legendary Yuri and a couple of others. Also at the start of combat, if her HP is over 25%, she's getting all stats up 5. She gets a bonus to her attack and speed equal to the number of bonus effect active on her times 4, which she's already giving herself 1, which is can't be slowed by terrain, and start of turn bonuses are just out of control right now. We've got Rally Spectrum, we've got Savior from Soren from Assigned Decoy, we get like Null Follow-Up from Caden Lindy, you can get Harmonic or Resonant Blades and Resonant Shields from Asker units, so like there's just no shortage of start of turn effects. So you're easily going to get to see plus 16 to all her stats, or at least attack and speed with that. And then also, if she deals damage to the foes using a special, she reduces damage from the foe's next attack by 50%, which is half DR, which is pretty solid. It only works once per combat though, and then it triggers even if she doesn't deal damage. So ideally, you would probably want to give this unit... She comes with Speed Preempt, which is okay. You'd probably want to give her Special Spiral 4 though, so she can just nullify DR. She's got Times Pulse already, and then she's got Attack and Speed Finish 4 already, so not only a very strong unit to use, but also a very strong fodder option here. Her A skill and C skill are ideal to give to rearmed heroes or anybody else that may want them. So Nino's actually pretty solid, and she would definitely be the star of red there. Next up, we move on to blue, and we have the Baby Mark, who I think is one of the best units in the game. I actually did a tier list. Not really a tier list, but just like a top 10 list of all top 10 units from each color. And this Baby Mark did make it onto my top 10 blue units, so just keep that in mind. He's very strong. He comes with Kanto control out of the box, which is very strong for Summoner Duels and Aether Raids alike. He has Remote Mirror and Sabotage Attack Res, which he is one of the better users of Sabotage Attack Res, given his very high res stat. And what his weapon does is has -1 special trigger. It gives, at the start of turn, -5 to all stats, sabotage and stall on the closest foes within 5 spaces of himself, and foes within 2 spaces of those foes through the next actions. So His stall is a little bit different from the one that Loki and Thor do, where they target the slowest enemy on the enemy team. This guy is targeting the nearest enemies within 5 spaces of him. So you could get some different targets with that and inflict stall in different ways. Stall is still very powerful and very hindering to the opponents, because anything that's got +1 movement is already like super good. So having this guy is really helpful to have. Also, when he's in combat, he inflicts another all stats -5 on the enemy, and he makes a guaranteed follow-up. And also, if a stat penalty is active on any foes in 2 spaces of the target, then he nullifies guard, which can help him ramp into specials and get some of his different specials to proc. He is an infantry unit, so you could run Special Spiral 4 on him if you wanted to. So that's another option. As far as fodder is concerned, like I said, Kanto control is still kind of rare, and him having it out of the box is really nice, but you could give it to somebody else that may want it. And his duo skill is really good too. Like, this is the reason why Baby Ike is just not going to cut it, man. You look at this guy's duo skill, and he does similar things to Baby Ike, but he just is a better unit overall. He's inflicting isolation, guard, and the special cooldown count +2 on foes in 3 columns and 3 rows centered on him. Baby Ike has 5 rows and 5 columns as his target range, so he can actually do the special cooldown count +2 a little bit easier in terms of that, but the isolation and guard are really nice toss-ins, and like I said earlier, Mark is just offering more for the team than Ike is, so I definitely think he's a worthy unit. He's accompanied on blue by the Valentine Takumi, who, I mean, you could have given Flare to if they were nice enough to not make it infantry locked. So that really sucks. But I'm not too big on this Takumi. He is a pretty quick bait unit. Like, he's got 46 speed, which is pretty nice for armored units. So he can play the fast role. You would want to give him Savvy Fighter 4, because unfortunately, ranged units can't have Hardy Fighter. So you would want Savvy Fighter 4, and then I think his safe skill is probably the one that he wants as well, just giving him the attack and speed variant. So he's got some options there, but he's not bulky enough. You look at his defenses, 28 defense, 31 res. That's really not going to cut it. So unfortunately, I don't think this Takumi really aged too well. He's got -1 special trigger on his weapon. He gets all stats of 5 in combat, and he inflicts attack and speed -4, and also a further attack and speed -X on the foes during combat, where X is 3 times the number of allies within 2 spaces of unit whose attack at the start of combat is greater than unit's attack -4 with a max of 6. So he can do a lot of attack and speed drops. He's trying to win speed checks, but really this guy needs some more bulk to really be able to put in that work. And then also the following effects will occur based on the value of unit speed minus the foe's speed. So if he's 4 points faster than the enemy, well, the enemy's speed -4. If he's faster than that, then he gets 30% DR on the enemy's first hit. And then if he's faster than the enemy in general, then when the unit deals damage to foes during combat, he gets back 7 HP. And if greater than or equal to 4, if he's like 4 points higher than the enemy's speed, then his attack can trigger, and his attack triggers foe specials. And he has weapon triangle advantage. That's a little bit of a steep condition there, because he would only be able to do this on red enemies. Then he inflicts special cooldown count +1 on the foe before their first attack. So that's the Scowl effect, essentially. Pretty cool. I mean, Scowl is not the worst effect. It's actually pretty favorable on these armored units, especially when you've got guard from a skill like Swift Stance 3 or Fire Flood Boost 3 or whatever. But this dude is not able to really make the best use out of that. And we already just got our counter to Scowl effects, which was Rally Spectrum. So I don't know, man. This Takumi is a little bit iffy. Okay, next up we move on to green, and I think green is probably the best color overall, because we have the Bunny Carla, who is a fantastic player phase unit. She's able to turn off specials and turn off DR. Not all specials, but specifically Pavis and Aegis, so the enemies are not able to trigger DR-based specials to get their true DR. I believe Godlike Reflexes would also count towards this too, so like, a good luck tank in this unit, man. She's got -1 special trigger at the start of all odd-numbered turns, so not just the first turn. She's getting cooldown count -2 to her special, so she's really trying to play up that nuke roll. And then when she initiates combat or is in 2 spaces of an ally, she's getting attack and speed up 6, and deals damage equal to X% of her speed when triggering that special. where X is units max special cooldown count value times 10 plus 20. So, for example, Draconic Aura on her has -1 special trigger, so it's got 2-hit cooldown. So 2 times 10 is 20 plus 20, which is 40. So 40% of her speed would be the calculation there. And then also, if she initiates combat or is in 2 spaces of an ally and her effect triggers special, disables non-special effects that reduce DR by X, and prevents foe specials that are triggered by units attack, which, like I said, would include Pavis and Aegis, and I think also Godlike Reflexes. So another one of these units, similar to Nana. I think Nana is very similar to her as well, the legendary one. Except Nana is not smacking people with specials really easily like this. So that's where this Carla gets a lot of value. She's got some solid fodder skills like Attack and Speed Clash 4 and Speed Smoke 4. Flow and Trace as well, but we're definitely going to get like Tier 4 Trace skills that are better than this at some point. For the time being, though, getting Kanto Rem and half a null follow-up does suit this Carla quite good. You could go for Lull Speed and Defense 4, though, if you want her to just hit that much harder. And really, this Carla really just needs 1 attack to finish the enemies off anyway, so as long as you've got Kanto in the B skill for her to, like, Kanto herself to safety, that's good enough. But, like, the null follow-up part really doesn't matter too much. She just wants to hit hard. And she is accompanied by Baby Hector, who is also quite a good unit and a valuable one for fodder as well, because he's got Armored Bacon there, giving us all the pork and the bacon. So he's a pretty solid far save unit. I'm down on save units, you guys know, but I'm not going to deny that this Hector is a strong unit. So he's got -1 special trigger. He inflicts attack and defense -6 on the enemies. He inflicts guard on the enemies. He gets 30% DR on attacks during combat. All attacks, not just the first, which is pretty juicy. And then if he's within 3 spaces of an ally, he inflicts a further penalty on the enemy's attack, equal to 12 minus the foe's max special cooldown count value times 2, with a minimum of 4, and if the foe does not have a special skill, the penalty is 4. So, for example, let's say you've got a 3-hit special with -1 special trigger, that would be 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, and then 12 minus 4 is 8. So attack -8 on the enemies there, which is pretty nice. Good debuff. And then he has this perf A skill, Ostia's Heart, which has built-in distant counter. And then if the foe initiates combat or foe's HP is over 75%, he inflicts attack and defense -8 on the foe. Another attack and defense drop combined with his weapon, which is pretty sick. And then also when he deals damage to the foes using a special, he gets back 7 HP. So Armored Bacon would be able to do that for him, and Armored Bacon has non-pierceable DR if I'm not mistaken. You do have to trigger it, and it only triggers against ranged opponents. I wonder if they're going to do a near version of Armored Bacon and Armored Flow, where you can, like, against melee-type enemies, you attack them, you get either Bonfire or Iceberg to activate, and then you get the DR at that point. Like, that would be interesting. But for the time being, Armored Beacon and Armored Flow only work on ranged opponents, so you want them on your far save units. This Hector is really good, like I said. I mean, he's great for fodder because he's got VF4, he's got DR far save, and Armored Beacon. So you can make a lot of use out of this Hector just from the fodder, and I think that's why green is the best color. It's got 2 of the most solid units on it. And then finally we have Colorless, which I'm not going to go too in-depth with Colorless, but both of the demote units on this banner are on Colorless, and I think actually both of these demotes are very good. Like, if you got this baby Becca up to +10, she's actually like one of the better seasonal 4-star demotes that we've ever gotten, right? So like at +10, this Becca's putting in a lot of work, man. She's a very powerful unit. Her weapon is crazy. -1 special trigger, effective against beasts and flyings, and then let's see. If she's within 3 spaces of an ally and her special cooldown count value is at its max value, then she basically gets times +4, or times +3 rather, which you could also run times +4 to combo with. So you get -2 special trigger there. And then if she's in 3 spaces of an ally, she gets all stats of 5 in combat. She reduces damage from foe's first attack by X%, where X is equal to these conditions here. You're going to get 60% DR against beast enemies or a cavalry and flying unit that has a ranged weapon. Otherwise, it's 30%. So she gets some DR there, which is pretty solid. And then also, if she triggers her special, then she gets +7 true damage. So what you would want to do is give this unit Special Spiral 4, give her like times +4, and Attack and Speed Finish 4, which, by the way, this is the only unit that has Attack and Speed Finish 3 as a demote. So if you happen to give out Attack and Speed Finish 4 to one of your really good rearmed heroes to presumably pass that around to the rest of your barracks, this baby Becca is a really good prerequisite pull. So you can get the level 3 and then just get the level 4 in one shot. So it's just good to stock up on pile copies of this Rebecca, even if you're not going for the merges on her. So that's very nice. And then Annette doesn't have a perf weapon. I don't even really care what her weapon does, honestly. It's like, it doesn't matter. The arcane bows are both very good. So you would want to give her most likely Tana's arcane weapon, because that one plays up better for bait units. And then you're free to give her like Vengeful Fighter 4 or Special Fighter 4. I like going for, what's it called again? Fire Flood Boost 3, which gives guard, HP, and then dual stats up 7, which is pretty strong. And then you give her Far Save. This is a very strong Annette for Far Saving. She's got some pretty nice stats here. Lots of defense and res. Speed is a dump stat, and then attack is solid. So, like, that's exactly where we want the stat distribution to be for an armored unit. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the banner overall. I would say it is worth summoning on green, and blue has Mark, which is also really good. Kate and Nino is really nice too, but she's like not really a must pull or anything unless you really want her. So definitely green is worthwhile, but I would say overall this banner is probably just a skip. We're getting a legendary banner in a couple of days as well. We're going to get the trailer there, and this banner will be up by the time we get the trailer for that legendary banner. So you're probably just better off waiting to see at least what's on the legendary banner before you summon. All right, we'll go for blue here. We'll see if we can free pull ourselves a copy of Mark. Okay, no, we can't. We get Shanna. All right, fine. So that's going to wrap us up for this video, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed the coverage. And this is your boy Tacho signing out. So take care, fellas. And I'll catch y'all again on the flip side.